I said that?
Well, you said
I said that?
You said you don't believe
Don't put
it.
words in my mouth. I did not say it was about the destruction of Israel. You watch what you say. I did not say it's about the destruction. I said it was about freedom, justice, and equality.
So
that is what I said.
So let's get aggressive. At 10:55 p.m. on the 14th of September 2016, talk about racism, that Jews have a reputation for being sleazy thieves. Do you believe you said that? You said that, so is that what you believe?
Do you want me to talk about this again? I'll talk about this again if that's what you want. Of course, context is everything, right?
There's no context for that.
Do you want an answer, or do you want to give the answer yourself? Now, suddenly when you point out the racism, the big band here that fights anti-Semitism whenever you criticize Israel is blind to the racism. If you've read Shakespeare, if you've read Dickens, if you've read almost anything and seen so many of what Western culture is about, you know that there's anti-Semitism, and you know that Jews have a reputation that has to do with money. I don't think it's a secret, right? It's not a secret. I have friends who are my age who grew up in America who grew up with that image as kids in school. But Jews and money, there's this racist characterization of Jews and money. Is this new to you? No. You've heard about this, right?
You wrote it.
Yes. So, but you've heard that this exists. You've heard that this exists, right? Okay. Very well. The connection was this. The United States and the State of Israel had just signed an agreement where the United States commits to give Israel $38 billion over a 10-year period. Israel does not need or deserve this money. The only reason the United States continues to give Israel this amount of money every year is through backdoor, mafia-style blackmailing. What I pointed out was that Zionists, their greed, their thievery, their underhanded techniques to get that money is the reason for that reputation. And there is no reason. Because the Zionists represent themselves as Jews.
Daddy, yes. Daddy.
The entire country is Palestine, from the river to the sea. It has been occupied. It has been subjected to ethnic cleansing. It has been subjected to genocide. And it has been subjected to a vicious apartheid regime.
Let's be clear. In 1948, there were approximately 640,000 Arabs or Palestinians. There are now 4.2 million living between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. That's not genocide by anybody's calculation. Genocide is a systematic eradication of a race and a religion, and that is not genocide. A recent survey showed, by the way, that 82% of Israeli Arabs, this was done by the Palestinian Center for Survey and Research, showed that 82% of Israeli Arabs believe in a two-state solution. 82% of Israeli Arabs want to remain part of Israel in two states living side by side. That's done by a Palestinian Center for Survey and Research, not by an Israeli organization. There's no apartheid. It's a lie. Bibi Netanyahu's government is investing between 2015 and 2020, and you can Google this, $2.5 billion into the sector of the Arab-Israeli economy. That's not a country that engages in apartheid. These are all facts. You can go and look for them. I've been there, I've seen them. You can Google these facts. Okay? There's no apartheid in Jerusalem, there's no apartheid in Israel. My father, a number of years ago, unfortunately had a heart attack and a stroke in Tiberias. His life was saved by an Arab doctor. This is not an apartheid country, and it's simply a lie to say so. The Supreme Court Justice who sent Moshe Katsav, the Israeli president, to jail was an Israeli Arab. That's not apartheid. Tell me how that can be apartheid. There are no separate buses, there are no separate hospitals. This is not apartheid. Okay. On the other hand, just let me finish one thing. On the other hand, a Jew is forbidden from buying land under the Palestinian Authority. And recently, a Palestinian who sold land to a Jew was killed and put to death for that. That is apartheid.
The very laws that describe citizenship, the very laws that describe the land ownership and who has the right to land ownership are apartheid laws.
Miko Peled talks about land laws. Give me a quote about a land law. Give me one particular quote. Don't just say it. Give me one quote. Tell me the exact law, because I've got a dossier in my bag of laws that are claimed to be apartheid, and the gentleman who wrote that dossier is sitting right in front of me, and I'm sure we can have an interesting conversation. If you're going to make those allegations, let's hear them. Specify them. Otherwise, you're just spouting and you're not proving anything. And I would go back to the last thing I'd say is that if you say Israel is an apartheid state, and you hate Israel so much, and you say it shouldn't exist, why on earth have you not given up your Israeli citizenship?
Are you going to ask more questions?
No, go ahead. Response. You want to respond to that?
No, go ahead.
Right, okay. Okay, so no need for...
In 2017, Israel and the Palestinians...
Come with me to Palestine, show me how it's a lie. Come with me to Palestine, see the homes without water supply, and tell me that's a
With
lie.
your Israeli passport.
Shut up! You're not invited here. Be quiet. There's one moderator. It's not your job to tell to communicate.
Okay, all right. Let me answer. So, as it happens, I was in the West Bank.
Yes, I'm sure you were welcomed with open arms. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you been to Rawabi?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Phenomenal city. Phenomenal city. Luxury. This is not the West Bank that Miko Peled is telling you about. Ramallah can be like any. It looks like any Israeli city. It's modern buildings, cars, shops, restaurants. Okay. The constant theme is this: is that I've said from the start I believe in two states living side by side in peace and security. Okay. Peace, security, two nations having self-determination and can live in peace and security. All Miko Peled wants to do is destroy Israel. Okay, and that's come through loud and clear. I think everybody here can hear that. He's getting more and more irate as we go on. Who wants to have two peoples living side by side in peace? So our children, my cousin, my mother, my cousin's children can live there in peace. Or who wants to destroy Israel? I know what side I'm on, and I know what side Miko Peled's on. And he still hasn't answered the question, and maybe you will now. Why haven't you given up your Israeli citizenship?
It is true that the Palestinians of 1948 do have a right to vote. The way Israel does that is really quite interesting. The entire country is one voting district. But Israel does not count the Palestinians who live in the borders after 1967. They only count the Palestinians in the pre-67 borders.
That's because it's the state of Israel.
As citizens, the Palestinians, the Jews who live in the settlements, in the colonies, in what used to be the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, of course, are considered citizens, and they do get to vote, and they are counted. The Palestinians do not get to vote and are not counted.
He's missing a major point here. I mean, let's be serious. This is a man who is meant to know his stuff. Palestinians vote in Palestinian Authority elections. Israelis who live across the Green Line can't vote in Palestinian Authority elections. The fact that Mahmoud Abbas Abu Mazen is 15 years into a 4-year term after being elected 15 years ago, that's not an issue to do with Israel. The Palestinian Authority could have elections tomorrow, and every single Palestinian who lives across the Green Line could have a vote. They don't need to vote within Israel, they can vote within Palestine and the Palestinian Authority. Hamas had elections. There were elections in Gaza in 2006, 2007, where it brutally deposed Fatah and kicked them out. Again, they can have elections there. There could be a joint election between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas tomorrow, and all those Palestinians, 4.2 million of them, could vote for their own leadership and their own government. The fact that those two can't get together to do it is not a reason to tar Israel with the apartheid brush.
And I don't know what Hamas is, but Hamas, which is a legitimate Palestinian resistance organization that had been elected by the Palestinians, I'm not going to get into that story with you right now, Harakat al-Muqawama al-Palestiniya, have been engaged and have been willing and have been committed to agree to an agreement, which Israel refused to agree to, by the way, to stop targeting civilians. And Israel did not agree to this.
Let's look at Hamas for 1 second in Gaza. So, in 2005, when Israel withdrew from Gaza, if you've ever been, and I don't know, Miko, have you been to the Erez border crossing? It's built like Ben Gurion Airport. It was built to handle 60,000 Palestinians every day coming into Israel to work. I was there, again, 8 months ago. Let's remember what happened in Gaza. Hamas brutally staged a coup against Fatah. They threw Fatah members off the roofs of buildings. Hamas is a prescribed terrorist organisation. This is the organisation that runs Gaza. The UK prescribe it, the EU prescribe it, the US prescribe it. It is
It's
a
not true that
terrorist.
you took it off the terrorist list.
No, it didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It was going to, and it didn't. And you can Google that as well. There's no facts coming from the other side. It's a prescribed terrorist organisation whose charter calls very specifically, and you can go and Google it, to hunt Jews anywhere in the world and kill them. The Jew will be hiding behind the rock, and the rock will tell me, there's a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill it. That's in their charter, that's word for word.
And if Israel doesn't like the tunnels, and if you don't like the Hamas, and if you don't like the rockets being flown out, open the gates, free Palestine, allow the refugees to return to their homes, and everybody can live together in peace. But you don't want that. You want a racist state, you want a big army, you want to walk around and say, I'm an Israeli and we can kill all of these Palestinians. That's what you want, because Zionists are racist.
People who advocate for a one-state solution are either naive and foolish at best, or very dangerous and sinister, a bit like Miko Peled is at worst. I'll explain why. People like Uri Avneri, the very famous left-wing Israeli journalist, who was, I believe, a friend of Miko Peled's father, said that a one-state solution is a crazy idea without foundation. Very soon, this one-state utopian idea that Miko Peled advocates would allow back in the 5.5 million Arabs that the Palestinians call refugees. In addition to that, does anybody really think, and does Miko Peled really think this, that after 70 years of their struggle, the Palestinians are going to give up their nationality, their flag, their symbols? So very soon this state would vote to become an Arab Muslim state because of this huge majority that the Arabs, that the Muslims in the state would have. Okay?
Very long 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to finish in 2 minutes, sorry. We'll finish. So, this would, very soon the Jews would be a minority in this state, and like most minorities in the Middle East, would be tolerated at best. And furthermore, that doesn't even take into account Hamas, who would want this state to be an Islamic theocracy. And when you look at what Hamas did to Fatah in the Gaza Strip, this is a very, very, very real possibility. A recent survey by the Palestinian Center for Survey and Research showed that 36% of Gazans would seek to practice apartheid or expulsion on Jews living anywhere between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. And so people who advocate for a one-state solution, like Miko Peled, do it because they know that ultimately it would achieve what they want, which is a Jew-free area between the river and the sea. But then if we look at BDS a bit more closely, actually, in economic terms, it's failing. I mean, I noticed, Miko, if I can just say, I don't know if you want to hold it up, but I think you're using an iPhone there. Apple's second largest R&D center outside of Israel, outside of the United States, is in Israel. Okay? Miko Peled has got a BDS sign on, and he's using an iPhone. And if that doesn't make a hypocrisy of what he stands for, I don't know what does. You either stand for something or you don't. He is using an iPhone. And I'd just like to ask Miko one last question. Again, he's wearing a big BDS sign. Why does he use an iPhone? The second largest R&D center is in Israel. Sounds a bit hypocritical to me.